Hello, hello.
Are we live? Are
Yeah,
we live?
we are live.
Check this out.
This is our first podcast. Kind of exciting. Well, so tribe at the beginning, the tribes at the very beginning, apes and whatnot. It's kind of weird that we're talking to each other on camera.
It is weird.
But
It's the hiccups of your first podcast, dude.
yeah, but I think it's pretty interesting that apes, pretty much their whole 90% of their life are in contact with another ape.
Yeah.
So growing up, you're constantly clinging to your mom, and from that, Sebastian Younger talks about that in Tribe and how Western society's kind of stepped away from that like really
Yeah,
fast.
they're opposite.
Yeah. And it's kind of a joke in some movies like Meet the Fockers that you don't want to spoil the kid, so the kid's crying in the other room. He's like,
You leave them alone.
yeah, you can't baby them and whatnot, and it kind of has some psychic damage, you'd think, from being a species of being so close together.
Yeah. Well, they're talking about native tribes the same way. Those native tribes were around those kids 24/7.
Yeah, everyone was in the
In the same room.
Yeah.
You're always being held. Even when you're old, you're still in the same room with your family.
Yeah, you still live in the same area as the whole tribe. The whole tribe was like a big family. It was a big commune. So they did everything together. Well, I mean, not everything together, but like hunting and stuff. They would do that as a group. And he later talks about the war aspect of it. I mean, kind of jumping from topic in the book, but this just goes back to the community of being together so often that war isn't even that big of a deal for natives. Well, the tribes, maybe not today. I mean, there's not so tribal as today, but back then, everyone was a part of that role in society for warfare and hunting and gathering food together and living together. So it's just one big community of people living together, and so everyone experienced the same thing. And so
Yeah, you're all on the same page.
yeah, and then today we don't have that. We don't have that at all. I don't even know my neighbors.
That's a good point.
I don't know a single one of my neighbors.
Yeah.
Not a single
Do you
one.
want to know them?
Yeah,
Is that
that's the thing.
I got the one neighbor, man, and she comes over and talks all the time. Dude, I avoid that lady, dude.
Yeah,
I feel bad,
yeah.
but I avoid that lady, dude.
I didn't even think about that because it's like, okay, in these tribes, they knew each other. They've grown up. They've known each other forever. So it's like, okay, that's just Dave. He's a freaking weirdo. And now it's like you don't know who the next door neighbor is. Like maybe John is a psycho and wants to wear you as a jacket.
Wear you as a coat.
Yeah.
Put some lotion on the skin.
Yeah. But my stepdad was saying that one of our biggest problems with today's society is that we don't know each other. We're not in each other's business. Like, you don't want to be too far into somebody's business because that's super annoying. But you should know your neighbors. Like, that's just something good. And that would help with crime. Because if you're holding your neighbor accountable, be like, hey, man, you shouldn't be doing that. Like,
Yeah.
that kid doesn't deserve that. Or you shouldn't be slinging all those drugs or whatever. I mean, they'll probably never say that, but it just one step at a time could prevent these bad things from happening. Like
That's a good point. You don't even got to go extreme, dude. What if someone's maybe suicidal?
Yeah,
Just talking to him, dude.
Exactly.
You could prevent that.
Yeah, because that's another thing that's talked about in tribes.
It is talked about in the beginning too.
It's
a big thing.
In these tribes, there is pretty much no such thing as suicide.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to war knowing you're going to die.
Yeah.
But that's a different kind of suicide. Now that we're so far apart from each other, we become depressed because as a species, all we want to do is connect with each other, which is what we're doing with this.
Yeah.
We want to connect with people, and people have this disconnect from each other. And so it's making us a little bit less happy. Well, a lot less happy because there's never been this kind of suicide rate in history.
No, it's skyrocketing.
Yeah. In Japan, there's a whole forest dedicated to going and killing yourself.
What's a real name? They call it the suicide forest, but it's got a real name.
I don't know. I was right next to it at one point in time. I had friends go there.
That's creepy.
Yeah, and man, it's just there's signs everywhere out there that say please don't kill yourself. Like call this number.
I've
Like,
seen those.
yeah, it's I kind of wish that people would. I mean, there's always options, but you never know where somebody's at in their life. Yeah, that. Well, Japan's a pretty cool place. Gonna segue out of there because I was kind of sad, but Japan is an amazing place to go. I I kind of see where people could get suicidal there because
Is it the amount of people or what's the deal?
it might be the amount and then the fact that there's hardly any sun, but it's so secluded from each other. Like if you don't have friends, you don't have friends there. It's like
It's crazy.
and there's nowhere really to go.
So
to,
many
like,
people and
hang
you don't
out.
have friends.
Yeah, yeah.
That's weird.
And I used to bash on social media quite a bit. I mean, I still do, but I kind of gave them a break after reading the book Tribe because it's like it's just one more means of people trying to connect with each other.
Yeah.
That's not bad thing to do is connect with people. But I mean,
I think it also draws you away from people.
it does. I mean,
It does. It connects you to people outside of your circle. But like we're talking about neighbors, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know your neighbors, man, but I know
Yeah.
200 people on Facebook.
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Yeah. On my Instagram, I have, I think 35 followers, and I follow 70 people.
Yeah.
I know 5 of those people.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, what is that? That's weird. And I don't even really talk to those 5 people. I kind of send them funny pictures and then giggle and then move on with my day.
Yeah.
But
It's crazy, just off topic, but how you can follow someone on social media and you're so connected with their life. It's like you know so much about that person, but you don't know them.
yeah,
You've never met that person day and night, but it's like you know everything about them.
yeah,
It's
like
crazy.
like like Instagram models.
Yeah.
Like, okay, they roll out of bed, they take a picture. Oh, I'm going to Pilates. I'm gonna go to yoga. Like, oh, pick random name, Kimmy. Yeah, Kimmy's going to the mall. LOL. I like that picture.
Yeah.
But you don't know. You never met him.
You'll never meet him.
You're some person from Ohio, and Kimmy's from like Washington or L.A. or somebody like that. But you know everything about him.
You do.
So,
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where everyone wants to connect,
Yeah.
but it kind of draws you away from reality.
Takes you out of your, like I say, your circle.
Yeah, it takes you from your circle. Like, I feel like we should have like YMCA's again. I mean, we still do. They're not gone
They're
away.
just not as big.
Yeah, they're just not big. We should have get-together areas. I mean, there's bars, but that's
Yeah.
social lubricant gets too lubricant.
Well, you start
and
getting
you get hammered.
drunk.
Yeah,
It's like a
5-7.
church.
Yeah,
It's great to get together, but
Yeah.
you're not there to
it's not a
bullshit,
social.
or-
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I mean,
you're there for
yeah,
a
churches.
purpose.
Yeah, churches for a purpose.
yeah.
This bar is kind of socially, but it's like a weird kind of social.
It is, yeah.
It's not like, oh, we're there to talk and hang out. Some
Yeah.
people, yeah, I get it, but a lot of people are just like, oh, dude, let's go get messed up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of not really a good social thing. We don't have.
There's not very many. One cool thing you see at colleges, though, if you ever go to college down here, they got a commons area, and it's got pool tables and stuff in there, man. You walk through there, man, there's all kinds of kids from
Yeah.
all different walks of life, and they're all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know you from Adam, but, man, you want to play pool?
Yeah.
At least you get things like that. They need something like that
Yeah.
for everybody.
There's in the barracks in my last barracks base, whatever, and we'll talk about that later. They had a common area, but no one was ever there except for the weirdos.
I can see that, too.
Yeah, because like, man, what a good idea. They had PlayStations, they had pool tables rather. They had horseshoes outside. They made the horseshoe pit with a square of concrete. Like, that's the stupidest design. So if like you miss the sand, that horseshoe's freaking flying to space.
Well, that one we got there in town, dude, that's the same way.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's stupid. I get it to keep the sand there, but like that's what?
Yeah. We'll put railroad
Yeah.
ties or something.
They had a basketball court there and a volleyball court, and you're like, man, this thing is set up to have social interaction, and it never happened. It happened Friday night, late at night, when everyone is hammered drunk.
I was gonna say you're drunk.
Yeah, but then it's like the same thing as a bar. It's like no one's
it turns
talking,
into a bar, yep.
and then the duty comes around and breaks it all up, afraid something's
Yeah.
going to happen. So we really don't get too much of good social interaction. I mean, Walmart is a good idea
say, is that normal? Get some technical difficulties here. Oh, there we go.
Hopefully it's still
Timed
recording.
out, I think.
Yeah.
It's still going.
But like markets and stuff like that. That's a good idea. It's like bazaars in the Middle East, or I think the Middle East or Turkey. I think that's where bazaars are at. It's like just a huge group of people coming together to sell their stuff, and you get to meet new people. I guess they have that in Seattle at Pike's Place, but I mean, you kind of don't interact with people.
What are they selling here?
At
Like bazaars, yeah.
Just anything, food, rugs. I mean, whatever.
You kind of got the same thing here, like a flea market in a sense.
Yeah,
well,
but
you're not.
Everyone's too afraid
You're
to go
doing
to
their
these
own
things.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, even when you do go, if you do go, you're not communicating with nobody, man. You're just looking at the stuff they're selling. You might buy some, and then you just leave.
Yeah. All perfect. Okay, so Wines of San Juan. I went there for like 2 minutes, and my parents left. Or I was riding with my parents because I was going to drink. And so we went out there, and they're antisocial. They're antisocial with my family. Like holidays are 30 minutes, no joke. They time it, and we leave. Yeah. And so we were there. My cousin, he bought one glass of wine, and by the time he got through the line and got his wine, they're like, all right, we're ready to go. He's like, what? So he slammed his wine, and we left. And it looked fun. There's like all kind of stalls, and everyone's just kind of hanging out. And there's big tables where you have to sit next to people. And it's like, oh, that's perfect. That is perfect. I didn't get to stay long enough to meet these people. Like, any number of reasons to sit down and talk to somebody there. And that's kind of why I like the idea of Coachella. I don't really know what it is, but I feel like a group of people going there and talking about it, like, has to be good.
Yeah.
Is it EDC or EDM? Those
as weird as
concerts?
it is to somebody like me, you know what I mean? But still.
Yeah, exactly. Get out there and meet people. Just socialize a little bit.
It's weird because people are so antisocial, though. Remember I was telling you, we were talking about this earlier about that comedy club I went to? Mm-hmm. And they're doing the thing, and you walk in, you know, and I didn't have pre-signed seating or nothing. Walked in and said, I need 2 tickets.
Yeah.
They say, oh, what table you want to sit at? And I look at these tables, and there's 12 seats, and I'm like, all right, well, this is about to get real awkward, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you get inside, you're like panicking, like you're going to sit next to some weirdo.
Yeah.
Well, why should you be that way?
Yeah.
There's no reason to be that way.
No, it's okay. I'm glad you said that. It reminded me. So whenever I was driving from Washington to North Carolina, almost 3 years ago, I stopped in Amarillo, Texas, and there's this like steakhouse there. It's I don't know what it's called.
With the big cowboy outfit?
Yeah, the big cowboy, and it's like
called,
it's just the most ridiculous thing ever. Amazing steak, but they make you sit with other people.
Oh, is that how it is?
Yeah, and so when I showed up, there's an older couple there, and I sat next to him intentionally, trying to like hey, like let's talk, let's discuss. They wanted nothing to do with me. I'm like,
well, it's funny, man. Like I was saying about that comedy thing. We didn't end up sitting next to somebody. It wasn't full. All the tables were full. There was like 3 or 4 that were empty. Well, we sat by ourselves. Well, by the time it was done, I was like, dang, man, I wish I would have sat with somebody.
Yeah.
Because now it feels like I'm distanced myself from everybody else.
Yeah. Well, after a while, another family came in, going back to the Texas story. Another older couple came in, and they started talking to me. And we had a lovely conversation, and then the other couple just was mean mugging us the whole time because it's like, well, you had your chance to communicate.
Yeah.
You still do. Like, come on, get in on this conversation. It turns out I was going from West Coast to East Coast, and they're going from East Coast to West Coast. They're going from like Vermont to San Diego, I think, to pick up like a grandson from boot camp. And it's kind of weird because that's how we got on the topic. They're like, why are you going to East Coast? I'm like, I'm going to my next duty station. I'm like, why are you going West Coast? They're like, oh, we're going to San Diego to pick up a grandson or something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so they eventually bought my meal. They refused to let me buy my meal.
Really?
It was kind of cool to interact with somebody like that.
Yeah.
Never to meet again. And kind of a cool interaction. And I'm playing The Witcher 3, name drop, best game ever. There's taverns in the game, and you go, and there's like random people there, and it kind of makes you think.
Conversations.
Yeah, and it makes you think, like, what was that really how the past really was with taverns?
Yeah.
Like some lone stranger walks in, you're like, oh, what's his story? Like, if he's not scary, go up and hey, man, like.
Well, then, dude, you didn't have a phone.
Yeah.
Think about that. There was no technology. You couldn't get on your Facebook to occupy your time, so you had no choice but to meet people. And then, you're talking about, man, you go out to, I don't remember where we were at, but anyways, sit there and we're sitting there talking or whatever, and look over, dude, and there's a family of 4, mom, dad, and 2 kids, and they're all got their phones right in their face, man.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's like you guys came here to enjoy each other, else you wouldn't be here with each other, and you guys look at you guys, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What's the purpose?
I remember the exact moment that I wanted to give up technology. I was on technology. I was on my phone and I was looking at a meme. And it was this young girl, she's probably about 16, with her grandma, or supposedly her grandma. You don't know who it is. Older lady. She looks like her grandma. And the words on the picture said, "Put your phone down. All your grandma wants to do is communicate with you and hang out with you. And you're in your phone." I was like, whoa.
That'll change your mind, dude.
I put my phone down because I was hanging out with somebody. I was like, whoa.
You don't realize, man, you sit here and you see someone else doing it, and you're like, man, these jackwagons. And then it's like, wait a minute, I'm doing the same thing.
Well, by the time I got to North Carolina, we would always go out and hang out at, like, different restaurants. Not for very long, but, just, kind of social interact, but everyone's really bad about it because they're not on the same level of, not anti-technology, but community.
Yeah.
Like, I would never be on my phone at dinner, and these people would be on their phone, and the women would be walking by smiling at me, because I'd be looking up and smiling and kind of like talking to people, and they'd be complimenting me and talking to me as they're walking by, because I'm like, I'm up, I'm in reality.
Yeah.
And so they wouldn't, and then they would, eventually I got my friend to kind of be on the same level. He'd still be on his phone, but then he'd put his phone away, and me and him would conversate, and the 2 other people next to us would be like, in their phones.
Yeah.
And it'd just be kind of quiet with them sitting over there. And like what you were saying before, it's a way to communicate and to connect with people, but it's also it's sucking you in. Yeah. I didn't know this was a big thing, but the watches, the iPhone watches.
I hate those watches.
Yeah. Like, I didn't know you could get texts on them.
Yeah.
And people are, like, freaking out. Like, before you look at your watch, you're like, okay. Or you see somebody look at their watch, like, oh, he's just checking the time. Maybe he has to go. Like, maybe I'm holding this guy up. Now it's like, oh, this dude's texting.
Yeah.
Okay, well, screw you.
Those things, man, it's bad enough what we're talking about, man. You say, me and you are at dinner or whatever, 4 of us, okay?
Yeah.
And we got our phones in our face, right?
Yeah.
So you put the phones down. Now all of a sudden, every 5 minutes, someone's looking at their watch, and I was in the same page as you. I'm like, what is this person doing? Like, dude, it's 7:30.
Yeah.
7:30, 30 seconds ago, it's still 7:30. You know?
If you're at dinner.
Yeah, and I come to find out, they're looking at they're checking their text message, and it's like, you SOB, you know? It drives me nuts. Like I say, man, I'm bad. I can't judge because I'll be the guy sitting at the dinner table with my phone, you know.
I mean,
but for whatever reason, them watches drive me nuts.
Yeah, I'm not perfect either, but those doing that is like saying you're not as important as the person who's texting me, and you're in person.
Yeah.
It's like, so what you're saying is me face to face with you here now in the present moment, person wanting to spend time with you isn't as important as the person you're talking to across the country, state, city, whatever. It's like, that is insane. And it's even worse. Okay, it's a little bit more understandable if it's another person, but if you're just checking memes around me, now you're really saying I'm not as important as a picture.
As Facebook.
One out of 10 funny pictures I'm not as good as.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. And then
That's insane.
Another thing, I've been trying to get my girlfriend to get rid of Facebook. Not because I don't trust her, but because it's just like it's such a toxic environment.
Yeah.
The day that I deleted my Facebook was the best day of my life.
Yeah, you're telling me that. It's crazy, dude. I still got mine, so I don't know. I don't look at it like some of these other people do, but
Well, I was just
until it happens, you know, you guess you don't know.
Yeah, I was just exactly. Like, I was like, it's not that big of a deal because I heard that Facebook is linked to very bad depression.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah. And so I was like, no, there's no freaking way. I deleted mine. I was like, whoa. Day one, whoa. I was
Reality
like, oh. It was like a weight lifted off my chest.
That's so crazy too, because it's just like, wow, something happened on your phone. You know?
Yeah. And then, okay, I was watching Rick and Morty, and it was the episode where they split bad personality from good personality. And Morty's like, I switched to this generic phone, just to make emergency calls. If something's worth saying, it's worth eye contact.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not going to go that far and buy a jitterbug, or a basic flip phone, because I like doodling stuff. But he kind of has a point in that if you're going to talk to somebody, it's worth talking face to face.
Yeah.
And kind of lost my point there. But, okay, the Facebook. I wanted her to get rid of it because it's like, okay, she doesn't seem unhappy, but I know she could be so much happier if she would just get rid of it. She doesn't seem unhappy at all, but you don't know the inner workings of somebody's brain. And,
I gotta start mulling this over myself.
Mm-hmm. Get rid of your Facebook.
Thing, dude.
If what you really want to do, because you can do it, and it was awesome, and I did it because I was so far away for so long, and you could delete the main part of Facebook and keep the Messenger.
Yeah.
And the Messenger is way better than FaceTime. Well, you don't have FaceTime. You don't have an iPhone.
Yeah.
And so you can pretty much FaceTime, but with a Facebook Messenger. And that was the only reason why I had a Facebook, is because I could communicate with family. I mean, I guess, well, when I was in Japan, I had no way to text people.
Yeah, so it's all like internet.
Yeah, I would have to get on Wi-Fi if I'd stop in, to like a restaurant. Like in Amsterdam, when I was there, I had no service. So I'd run to a restaurant and I'd message my mom really quick, hey, I love you, tell everybody I love them, and then I'd head out.
We're getting off topic here for a second, but so Amsterdam, dude. Japan, they don't have cell phones? What the hell?
No, okay, they don't have.
It's not tied to what we have.
It's not tied to ours. I mean, you could buy it, but it's super expensive. I think I had one person that I knew that did it, and he was popular. He was real popular because we spent about 2 months, I think, on ship, and so whenever we get close to land, he would be talking on his phone.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, I'll give you $20 if you let me talk on the phone and let me call
I can see that,
Yeah, so.
I was looking the other day, man. These satellite phones, dude, they're becoming real cheap. You heard I can't remember what it's called. I have to look it up, but people who go on, it was tied to like people ride ATVs and stuff. When you're way out in the middle of nowhere and you go by yourself, dirt bike, whatever, you can still communicate with people if something happens or whatever.
Yeah.
But so I started looking into it, and I was like, all right, for one, it's got to be real pricey, and for two, it probably calls 911 and that's it, right? Yeah. No, you can send text messages through it. You can call people through it. And originally, I don't know, you buy the phone for like $200 or whatever, and then they have different plans you can use, and you're allowed so many things. But it was only, I want to say, like $30 a month.
That ain't bad for. I mean,
you can only have so many messages so long. But dude, if you're out in the middle of nowhere by yourself and you're hunting anything, dude, and you get lost, get attacked, whatever, you can. Hey, I'm at my fingertips.
Yeah,
I
perfect.
can call somebody. I can call an emergency. I can call my family. Like, damn, I don't know where I'm at. Come find me.
Yeah, that's perfect for like people like in Durango. They're like always out in the wilderness, Or if you're a hunter.
I was thinking hunting, man.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Way out there, especially you get a lot of people go by themselves. I'm not about to go by myself, but
that's that $30 a month. I mean, it sounds cheap, but if you're only hunting once a year.
Yeah, if you're a person that uses it once a year and you don't use it, it's pointless.
Yeah.
But if you're one of them people that's hiking every couple days a week, out hunting all the time, bird watching,
Now see, bird watching's the full calendar year.
Yeah.
That's a good movie. You ever watch that, Jack Black?
No.
The Big Year.
Never even heard of it.
Jack Black, Steve Martin, and Owen Wilson are bird watchers, and they get into it.
Really?
Good movie.
What's it called?
The Big Year.
You know,
man.
Write that down.
Yeah, it's so good. But sorry about that, little off topic. But yeah, like that stuff. That's awesome. My cousin was talking to me about it. He wanted to get one of the GPSs. But it's not a phone call. You just hit the button. Like, oh, dang, I'm in the middle of nowhere and my leg is poking out, or my bone's poking out of my leg. Boop, push the button, a helicopter comes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's an expensive flight.
Yeah.
And the GPS itself is expensive because of what it is. Because when you hit it, it calls a helicopter to come and save you. So it's kind of expensive, but it's like what we're saying. If you're out in the wilderness every week, hanging out, hiking, it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was in Japan during JWTC, the Jungle Warfare Training Center in Japan, they have a phone there, and they say, because there's snakes everywhere there. They're just everywhere, and You think you can see a snake? You're like, your camouflage sucks. No, their camouflage does not suck. But they tell you like, if you get bit, better have phone memorized because you're gonna call somebody. That's your last call, bud.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
That's insane. What kind of snakes are these?
Habus.
What the heck's a habu?
Yeah, it's a Japanese snake. They're not very poisonous. But they have king snakes or coral, not king or coral. It's one of the weird, like looking worm ones with the colored rings, red
coral.
and black, and
Coral are in the ocean, though. I thought maybe not. I don't know.
sea snake.
No.
Both of them. All snakes can swim.
Well, yeah, I knew that. Yeah. Did you know 90% of animals can swim? There's only like 2 or 3 animals that can't swim.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
I know that chimps and apes and stuff like that can't.
Pretty much monkeys are the only ones.
Yeah.
They have to be trained.
Yeah, you have to train them. Not humans though. You throw a baby in the water, the sucker holds its breath.
Yeah, we were talking about that. That's crazy.
That's kind of. There's a theory. I don't remember the theory. I'm gonna have to look it up. It's quite interesting. It's a theory that the reason why we're bald for most of our body compared to our ape brethren or cousins is because we live next to the ocean, and you don't really need hair.
So that's how we evolved.
Yeah. I don't know if that's part of the theory, but I mean, why wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
That's
and why
resistance.
don't we have hair then?
Yeah.
There's got to be a reason.
Yeah, but that's one of the reasons why they think human babies will hold their breath while going underwater is because we lived so close to water for so long. And it kind of adds up because supposedly that's how humans got to the United States or North America is from that ice bridge, following the water or following big game across the ice bridge from Russia to Alaska. But you'd have to be next to the water.
Yeah.
So that kind of correlates. Yeah.
That's crazy how close Alaska is to Russia.
Yeah, it really is.
Look at it on a map, it's pretty crazy. I think that's the one where they say you can see it when it's real clear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But from an island, not mainland Alaska.
Yeah, from that one of them little points that sticks out there.
You know what always blows me away is how big Alaska really is.
That is true,
like, yeah. Alaska's huge, but if you actually see Alaska, like, whoa, that's big.
Yeah.
And Africa's the same way. Africa's
huge. Massive, dude.
Yeah.
I always thought it was like, Africa's so big. I'm like, dude, yeah, it's big, but it ain't that big. Look at it on a map compared to America.
It's
massive.
Massive.
It's insane.
Yeah, so is Iceland or Greenland? Greenland.
Yeah,
Greenland's
real
huge.
big, yeah.
Huge. Yeah, that. I don't know why we do that with maps. I don't know.
What's that?
Just make stuff weird like that. Because on a map, Greenland's like the small thing, but in real life, Greenland's huge. It's way bigger in real life than what it is on the map.
And what it's compared on the map, yeah. Is that because it's so high up? And it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind kind of a deal? Who's looking at a map and trying to look at Greenland, you know what I mean?
There's conspiracies that are trying to make America look all big and bad by shrinking Africa and shrinking Greenland and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's like, who's afraid of Greenland? There's 4 people there.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Yeah.
Who's looking at a map of Greenland?
Yeah. And then, why would you be afraid of Africa? Like,
I just want to apologize to the Greenland followers.
Yeah.
We're not making fun of you, we swear.
Yeah. Speaking of Greenland, Iceland, Vikings colonized, that's a cool word, colonized those islands. I don't think colonnade is a real word.
I don't think so, man.
But,
it's colonized.
Colonized, yeah. But, segue, I'm going from Iceland to Vikings, Norway. I was in Norway, and there was a huge Viking burial where I was at in Norway.
Oh.
Yeah, we're doing this cold, what is it? Cold response. And it's on YouTube. It's actually pretty cool. It's a whole, it was a NATO exercise. Had Sweden. Yeah, Sweden. We were going up against the Swedes. They have the coolest tanks. Sorry if that was top secret. But they have freaking sweet tanks. But we're doing a NATO exercise, and then in the middle of the night, we stop on this farmer's farm. And he's always doing it. He loves the military. But me and one other guy were talking to this family, and he said that he just gotten out of the reserves, and his broken English. He didn't have really good English. His wife had excellent English, better than mine, and I thought he had said he had gotten out of the army 20 years ago. Like, oh yeah, whatever. Dude's like 7 foot, 400 pounds. Like, had to have gotten out of the Army 20 years ago. He's like, no. I just got out this year. I was like, whoa. How are you that big in the Army? And he's like, I was in the reserves. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But I was fighting to ask him the whole time I was talking to him. I was like, so Vikings, what's the deal? And they both started laughing. And they're like, no, there's no more Vikings, whatever. And he's like, actually, there's a Viking burial site right over this hill. Huge one. It's one of the biggest ones in Norway, apparently.
Whoa.
Yeah. Huh. But, monologuing. But when I was in Norway, I got stopped by a local, which is another fun thing to think that everyone wants to communicate. Of everything that brings us humans together is we all want to connect with each other. But this guy stopped us, and he's like, are you Americans? Like, yeah. He's like, oh, I love you guys. Like, you're here for the cold response? Like, this whole town shuts down so we can for that event.
That's cool.
And he's like, yeah, my son's in Texas fracking. I was like, no way, I'm from New Mexico, whatever. And he's like, oh, small world. I'm like, that's crazy. Cut to that farmer. We were talking, and he asked us where we were from. And I told him New Mexico. He's like, no way. The farmer that we share border with is from New Mexico. Oh. Yeah, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. She had married a Norwegian and moved out there. Yeah, it was kind of crazy how nuts, small dude. World. Yeah. It's nuts that two people from, opposite walks of life meeting like that. And, well, I was sitting there talking, and then, like, do you guys dip? And at the time, I didn't really dip, but it was, I'd dip whenever I was tired. And they're like, yeah, we drive all the way to Sweden. I don't know if you know how big Norway is and where we were at. It is pretty big. It was a long drive from where we were at in Norway to Sweden to go get good dip.
So what's the deal with Norway's dip then?
It's clay. It looks like clay. It looks like Play-Doh. And two of my buddies, really big dippers, big fan of dip. They'll never quit. They were aching for a dip, and all they had was that clay. They couldn't even do it. They're like, I'll suffer through the nicotine withdrawal. They spit it out. It was the craziest looking stuff. But we traded dip with this Norwegian guy, and then he was trying to get us to drink with them. He was like, no, man, we can't drink right now. We're like in the middle of war games. Yeah. And he's like, oh, come on, no one has to know, he just wants to drink with Americans. Yeah. But, I like to say that I traded with Vikings. I traded stories, and they gave me a pair of socks because they felt bad.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. They're like, that's crazy. The wife runs back inside and brings these socks out. Big freaking socks. I still have them to this day. That's my prized possession. Yeah, no joke, prized possession.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So obviously every culture is different. You can drive 30 minutes from where we're at right now in Durango, and the culture, people are way weird. Not weird, shouldn't say that. Yeah. But you know what I mean? From what we are to them, it's way weird. Mm-hmm. So what's the deal with these Norwegians?
Super nice. Mean. Super mean looking. Like, and they're all big. They're all big. The shortest person I saw in Norway was the guy who stopped us, and he was taller than me.
Really?
The first time I ever saw a Norwegian, this is a funny story. We were on ship. We pulled into port in where were we? Yeah, okay, so we flown. Oh, no, where were we? I think we were in Spain. We pulled into port into Spain, and a Norwegian woman was there. I don't know why she was there. But the first time I ever saw a Norwegian
was in Spain.
Was in Spain, and I was waiting in line to go upstairs to the chow hall, or the galley, the Navy calls it, and she was coming. No, so I was standing there, and there's like this ladder well. I can't remember what they call. I think that's what they call it on ships. But she comes up. I about crapped my pants. This woman, she had to have been 6'11". Amazonian, beautiful woman. She was an officer. And so I was like trying to be real respectful. I was, ma'am, she just kind of like smiled at me and was like, being real friendly, real informal. And I was like, my ship captain and a lieutenant colonel just walked by me. I can't be real nice to you. Like, and so they're real nice people. I don't know why that cut story. But yeah, little off topic, but they're really nice people. They're really nice.
All right, so back to this woman being beautiful. What about these Norwegians?
Oh, they're beautiful.
Are they
They're
really?
really beautiful, yeah, but they're all big. They're all big. I'm a midget there, man. You're like on the smaller side.
No joke,
huh?
That's insane,
Yeah,
dude.
you're on the shorter side. I'm not even a genetically in their species.
So you stand out.
Yeah, big time.
So other than, see how I word this here, like, if you weren't their height, well, I mean, other than that, what are they, as far as looks? Skin color and stuff, what are they close to?
That's kind of hard to say. They have like...
Or is it just very diverse?
It's kind of diverse. I mean, they just look like the average, white person, I guess. Yeah. But prevalent with blonde hair. Don't know why. Because in that area, you usually wasn't ever blonde hair. Yeah. But a really interesting thing was in Spain. Everyone was nice there, too. I was there during Carnival. And that's like the big party. The big party for the country. And I'm not joking. I didn't see a single ugly person there that wasn't American.
That's insane.
Did I say that right? Every Spaniard that I saw was beautiful. Every one of them. And they all were pale skinned with black hair.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Gorgeous people. Oh my goodness, gorgeous people. So nice. And that culture is interesting too. You go to a bar and you start hitting on a woman. She says, I have a man. And you keep hitting on her. That whole bar will get up and beat you up. Because they're trying to keep the honor of that woman.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting.
That's crazy, man, because you come here in America and it's like it's a free-for-all.
Oh, it's a free-for-all, yeah.
Free-for-all. You got multiple dudes, you got multiple women, man. Nobody's loyal.
Yeah.
It's insane, dude.
Yeah. I was actually at a bar in Seattle, and this woman was, dancing on me and whatnot, and didn't know she was married. I knew she was a little older. Like, oh, this is cool, whatever. She kept pulling me up to the dance floor. There was no dance floor. It was a piano bar. It's called 88 Keys. Awesome bar. If you're in Seattle, you have to go. The funnest time ever.
Keys, huh?
88 Keys. There's 2 pianos. They'll play whatever you want on the piano.
Really? I always wanted to go to one of those. Never been.
Super fun. But she kept pulling me up there. Well, her husband had enough and had to say something to me. And I was like...
I had no idea.
Yeah, it wasn't my fault. I didn't know. She had a bunch of rings on her fingers. Like, any one of them could have meant anything, If I knew she was married, I never would have even, I would have, whatever. And so he had a problem with me. Everyone was drunk. I was drunk. She was drunk. We're all drunk. And it kept calling me names or whatever. And eventually my friends had enough. And my friends dwarf me. All of them are bodybuilders. They come up and they scare them off. But it's like, why wouldn't you have said something from the moment you saw her talking to me? Like, hey, man, I don't really respect that you, talking to my wife.
Yeah.
Then why is she talking to me? Like, you're married, your husband's in the bar.
In front of her.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, as soon as I found out.
We're married?
Yeah. Well, that too. Like, hun, what the hell?
Yeah.
But if I knew she was married and was hitting on me and be like, well, you need to back off, lady. Like, this isn't cool. Your husband's right there. Well, yeah. Yeah. They're kind of an interesting group of people, women. They can pretty much do whatever they want, and depending on their looks and their personality, get away with it.
Yeah.
We were talking about this before this podcast. Instagram models. Women who are not born of any wealth, any fame. Their parents aren't famous. The parents are blue-collar workers. Millions of followers because they get up and they take a sexy picture of themselves. So, oh, what?
You have all these fucking dudes.
Yeah, all these dudes saying, and you're like, oh,
This, all right.
Yeah.
Hey,
boom. Now they have 1 million followers.
Yeah.
Pretty much, depending. Same thing with dudes, I guess, but not so much. No, not so much.
You get some of the dudes like in the fitness industry, I guess.
Yeah.
These bigger guys, they snap a picture of my shirt off, They
Yeah.
got the same concept. But not as easy as women.
Like George Clooney or what's the guy who's married to Angelina Jolie? Brad Pitt. Those two are considered one of the pretty people for guys, and they can get away with whatever they want. So it's kind of like, well, you look at those two guys compared to pretty much every celebrity woman. They do whatever the heck they want.
Yeah.
The Kardashians, Good business sense, apparently. Kylie's just almost a billionaire.
A billionaire.
Yeah, they could do whatever they want.
She might be already by now.
She might be a millionaire with that interest. But
a billionaire even selling makeup. Here we are trying to do podcasts.
Yeah.
Start selling makeup, dude.
I've seen one episode, and they're just the dumbest people ever. But they're so pretty they can get away with it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's insane. But women can do whatever they want depending on their looks, personality, whatever. They have shit personalities, but they're hot.
Oh yeah.
So they can do whatever they want.
Is it a touchy subject?
It is a touchy subject. I don't believe they should be able to do whatever they want, but okay, like murder somebody, you shouldn't be able to murder somebody.
Yeah.
But as an American, you should be able to do whatever you want. Oh, we got really off topic from Tribe. Yeah.
Start talking about some random things.
But a lot of what Tribe talks about with the community thing, it talks about it in Tribe as 3 things for happiness. I don't know if they talk about it in Tribe. Maybe I'm not. I have the notes right here.
No, I haven't finished the book or nothing, but
it would have been.
That's where I'm at.
It would have been pretty close to the front, but saying 3 things for happiness is competence in what you do. So like, no one wants to be bad at their job, because then you feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
And so you want that confidence. You're like, I can do my job. I can do my job real well. And then another one is feeling authentic in their life.
You know what? I'm gonna interrupt you. That is on that track. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So it is in Tribe, and feeling authentic in life comes with people saying that they want to be spiritual. They want to find themselves. Whenever I got out of the Marine Corps, I felt that. I didn't feel authentic. I wanted to disconnecting from something that I wanted to do my whole life was like a huge whoa,
yeah.
There's nothing else in life that I wanted to do than be a Marine. And so when I got out of the Marines, it's like, now what? Like, that was it. Like, I didn't plan on getting another job. I planned on staying in the Marine Corps for the rest of my life. And after the 5 years, I'm like, F this, I'm getting the hell out of here. So it's kind of like, I need to find myself.
Yeah.
And so I want to kind of feel authentic in my life. And then another one, the third one that he talks about is community. We've touched on that quite a bit so far.
Yeah.
But it's just, if you really think about that, sit down and you're like, whoa, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Like, ever since I put my phone down, I've had such a more fulfilling life. And then I started meditating, and it's kind of like wakening me up to like more authenticity in my life. I mean, that's a bad word to say, but it's like I feel better because I meditate weird. A lot of people say the purpose is not the purpose, but like one of the things for for meditating is blanking your mind. I mean, it's impossible to keep it blank for long.
Yeah.
But I don't like to do that. I like to get in there, I like to meditate, and I like to go with the flow of thoughts. Now, if it's like, oh, okay, I got to take the trash out. No, F that. Go back to blank.
Yeah.
Retry.
Start over.
And then once I hit gold mine, like, oh, I'm feeling sad. Well, let's explore that. Why am I sad?
Yeah.
Because of this. And I just go down that line. I go with it, and then I reconcile those feelings, and I try and move on. And
that's
then,
crazy what you're doing.
Yeah. And then
it works.
Yeah, it works. I feel a lot better whenever I do it. Like if I'm angry, feel anger for that little bit, and then reconcile. Be like, okay, it's done.
Angry?
Yeah.
And
Why are you angry?
how do I stop it?
Yeah. Like people that when at work, anger me. It's like, okay, go home, meditate about it. Be angry at home. Don't be angry at work. And then when you're done being angry at home, be done being angry.
Yeah.
Just move on.
Yeah, that whatever you're angry about.
Yeah. And then that helps with the community, because then you come back to work without the anger at that person.
I feel like 50%. Well, it's probably higher than that, but I feel like the majority of people think meditation's a joke.
Yeah, they do. I do.
And if I think we all have.
Yeah.
Until you actually do it, and you're like, all right, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This thing is, and then you can do it different ways, like you're talking about, or you can try the whole blank thing. You can't do it obviously for very long, but you can keep going back to it. And there's so many different techniques of how to get to that state. People are just like, oh, I tried. I got myself in an empty room. No. There's so many options out there.
Yeah.
People don't realize it.
Yeah. when I was exiting the Marine Corps, that's when I had my pretty much midlife crisis. So I was like, oh no, what do I do now? So I turned to meditating, and I had another friend, and he was asking me, because he wants to go on like spirit journeys and like smoke peyote and like, go do crazy stuff, like find himself in that kind of sense. And I told him, hey, meditate. He looked at me like I was a fool.
Yeah.
I'm like,
people think it's a crazy thing and they don't understand.
Yeah, try it. What got me into it was guided meditation. And the first time I did it, it was like a rush of like emotion, and it was just pure ecstasy the first time I did it. Because this guy had this real cool, smooth voice, and when I count down to 1, you'll feel pure, and I went into it, and I was like, this is stupid. No, stop it. Just try. You're having a mental breakdown because you're getting out of the one thing you wanted to do. Just try it. And I tried it. Oh my, hooked. Day 1.
So you got lucky and did it day 1. I wonder how many people try it multiple times. Because you got to take it serious. You got to get to the point to where, hey, I'm really going to do this. If you go in there, 1 foot in the water, it ain't going to work.
Yeah, I was talking to my aunt whenever I got out, and she said, yeah, I used to meditate, blah, blah, blah. It kind of doesn't work. I'm like, no, you need to try it.
See, they just don't do it right is the problem.
Yeah, you go on YouTube, find some guidance.
Is that where you got yours?
I got mine on Spotify.
Oh, okay.
But then I went to YouTube. YouTube has way better. Way better. You have anything.
It's YouTube, man.
YouTube it. They have some good videos on there.
People get so mad at YouTube. Oh, you can't figure stuff out. Yeah, there might be some scams, but there's some good ones at the same time.
Yeah. Well, back to that meditating thing. Like, my friend looked at me like I was a fool. I'm like, well, yeah, I get it. And a lot of people think that way. You just have to try things. Before, I thought yoga was a joke. I thought meditating was a joke. I thought spirituality was a joke. And then I tried it, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. I feel better after it.
I also think everything you do, you have to give second chance as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So yoga's a prime example, man. I went to that yoga class. The class was a joke, man. The instructor was crazy. The people that were in there, and I shouldn't say that, but dang, dude. It was just a bad experience, and I was like, man, this yoga really is a joke.
Yeah.
I was right,
Yeah.
No, man, you go back and try it again. There's a lot of things like that, too.
Yeah.
You get one bad experience, and, you're just like, nope, tie my hands from it.
Yeah. I can't remember who said it, and I'm kind of paraphrasing this quote, but it says you should try everything 3 times. Once to see if you like it, twice to get good at it, and then the third one is like to see if it. Oh man, I'm gonna have to Google it. But it's like it's interesting. It's like okay, that gives you like, if you don't like it at first, you're like, try it, get good at it, and then try it again. You're like, okay, well I could see me doing this.
Yeah.
And so that's how that meditating thing was. But I got lucky first try. I liked it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're one of the few that got it right the first time.
Yeah, and a lot of people are afraid of trying something and not being good at it. But I think
fear of failure.
Yeah, I think I like that. I revel in the idea of like a challenge. Like I like to challenge myself a little bit, not too hard. I don't want to like get on the back of a motorcycle and try and hit a triple. Yeah, and do a backflip and die. That's too hard. But at least give some effort into some stuff. At least like that quote. I'm gonna have to look it up. It's a really good quote. At least try it to see if you like it.
Yeah. We're stepping way back here because I had a thought I was going to say and we started on off topic. Yeah. There's a place you got to go. You ever heard of the Bar D?
Yes.
In Durango?
Yes.
How we're talking about everybody's at one table.
Oh,
That's a crazy place to go, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You're literally at a table with 100 other people. And obviously you can't talk to these people, you know what I mean? But everybody right there.
Yeah.
You talk to whoever you want to talk to. And everybody comes from all over the place. People that don't know, Durango's a big tourist town, obviously.
Yeah.
Ski town and whatnot.
Yeah.
So you get people from all over. So you never know who you're going to talk to in there.
No, I love
and then they got the band up front playing. It's a local band. And they play some crazy instruments and stuff, So then you get talking. The amount of topics you have.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The amount of people you see is crazy.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's a good community thing.
It is.
You get to meet other people, meet new people. I like that. Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Outside of a bar.
Yeah, outside of a bar. I
just feel like bars are bad atmospheres.
They are.
We've all had our good times in bars, but I just feel like
they're all right. I mean,
how many people that you've met in a bar in the past do you still know today?
Oh, not at all.
There you go.
The only reason why I met this one, I shouldn't say girl, but she was the only one that I talked to out of the group. But I met a group of people, and we all connected through motocross. There's a supercross. I mean, there's a supercross race on TV, and I was like watching it because the people I was with were in their phones and were already drunk. It's boring, and so she let me sit with her and her group. I mean, we didn't talk. She just, you want to sit with us? I'm like, yeah. And then that was it. That was the end of it.
That was the end.
And then the race ended, and they left, and I left.
Yeah.
And never talked to each other again. But they were there to drink and have a crazy time. I wasn't. That's just how bars
got into that whole thing. The whole going and getting crazy.
Yeah, no.
You never know what's gonna happen, man. I mean, I've had my crazy days, but I'd rather do it at my house or at my buddy's house or whoever with a group of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we've all done some crazy things.
Man, okay.
We've all had our drunken adventures.
Yeah, I've jousted.
You hadn't. You're not experiencing anything.
Yeah, I've jousted a taxi while I was in Seattle.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah, that's.
You jousted a taxi.
Yeah. There was a taxi coming up the road, and there's a huge stick in the road, and I was like, "Oh, on guard!" And I grabbed it, and I started running towards this taxi. It was stopping, it's honking at me. I'm drunk. The only reason why I remember it is because my friends told me about it, and that started like clicking in my head. They had they had pictures and stuff. I'm like, oh, I need to stop drinking. That was kind of one of those wake-up calls.
Yeah. The worst is, I mean, so you get drunk in a bar. Everybody gets drunk in a bar, right?
Yeah.
In the streets of Seattle, whatever. You just come out of the bar.
Mm-hmm.
You ever had a drunken adventure in a restaurant?
I have.
I was dancing on the bar of a TGIF one time.
Oh, not that crazy.
It was pretty wild, dude. I don't remember much of it, but there's pictures out there.
That's funny.
I didn't even realize, man. We were sitting there, you know, and whatnot, and having drinks, whatever, beers, shots, whatever, a little bit of everything. People, this was actually one of those good times, man.
Mm-hmm.
Where we weren't from there or nothing, and these two ladies came up and were like, man, obviously you guys ain't from here, you know, it's two of us, and no, we're not, you know, they were from there, and man, we got a massive conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually pretty cool. But anyways, I gotta use the restroom, man, so I get up and I end up falling over. And I didn't realize how many drinks I had. I fall over into the salad bar, man.
Yeah. Oh man.
Right at the salad bar. I don't know how they took me out, you know.
Yeah.
And man, he went out because they're roughing me up or something. So I was like, man, I gotta get out of here. You're not gonna leave at that point, dude. I said, I gotta have another drink.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I was ended up dancing on the bar, dude.
That's crazy. Going back to the Seattle and community thing. When I was there, I actually had the opportunity to hold the flag for a couple games, and I had never been to a football game, NFL game, and it was like the Seahawks, and I don't even remember because I wasn't going there for the game. I was going there to hold the flag and get drunk.
Yeah. That's all those events, man.
Yeah.
I go to those events just to have a good time. It's more about in my mind, about the experience and what the thing is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like NASCAR, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch that car drive in circles. I just want to go to the
I
experience.
just want to hang out with people.
Yeah.
And Seahawks fans, I wasn't a Seahawks fan before I got stationed in Washington, and oh man, are they cool? Yeah. Oh, I'm not a huge Seahawks fan because I don't really like sports all that much. But I like them now because of the fans. Everywhere you look in the city is the letter 12 on a blue flag. Everyone in Washington is the 12th man on the field.
On the field. That's crazy. That's pretty cool,
yeah.
though.
And you can walk down the streets of Seattle, go see, and the whole crowd goes Hawks, and it's amazing. Like, whoa, this is crazy that as a state you can do that. You have this thing that.
That's cool that they're that united.
Yeah.
How many things do that many people? And they're from all walks.
Yeah, all walks.
People are so worked up right now about politics and race and this stuff like that. Doesn't mean they don't care where you're from, who you are.
Yeah, that's a cool thing about stuff like that. Is like at one point in time, for a few hours, everyone from all walks of life come to watch, and they come together.
Yeah.
Not as Iranians, not as Americans, not as whatever. They come as Seahawks. They come as the 12th man.
Yeah.
And it's way cool.
I think we need more of that.
We do need.
We gotta find some more of that, even if it's not football, out of something.
Yeah, and another cool thing about, I mean, not necessarily Seahawks fans, but a community. On my 21st birthday, I spent it at a Seahawks Vikings game, and go Vikings.
Back to Vikings.
Yeah, back to Vikings. Nice segue. But it was my 21st birthday, and these two guys almost got in a fight over buying my first beer because, I was a boot. I was wearing my blues. I knew that I'd get free beer, but they were wanting to. They almost got a fight because they're like, "Oh, this American fucking Marine, freaking Marine is he's out there risking his life." Wasn't. I was doing stuff in Washington. It wasn't that dangerous at all. But they're like, as a sense of community, as Americans, it brought them together. Like, oh, we want to show respect for this. In their eyes, hero, not a hero at all. Just an average dude. Didn't do anything crazy in my time, but they brought that uniform brought them together.
Them unity.
Yeah. And it was like, well, that's kind of crazy that this symbol could bring people together, just like the 12th man thing.
Yeah.
I got a burp. It's fucking bubbly.
I was listening to some reporter or whatever, but he was talking about like natural disasters and stuff. Yeah, they're obviously not a good thing, but the unity that comes out of them things is crazy. Yeah. Nobody cares at that point who you are, what you are, where you came from. They just know, hey, we got a problem and you need help.
Mm-hmm. That's what they're talking about in Tribe.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. Spoiler alert.
It talks about that. Ahead to me.
Yeah. Well, I finished the book. It's an amazing book. You have to read Tribe. But they talk about that. They say the degradation of. I don't care what anybody says. There is a class system in the entire world, even in the United States. There's poor, medium class, and rich. It's just different. It just is.
Yeah.
And so, whenever this stuff happens and the disasters happen, it breaks down and people start working together. They don't care. Nobody cares.
Yeah, at that point, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Like when Katrina happened, in Louisiana, like a lot of people were looting and stuff to keep each other alive. But then there was like a community there, like, let's all stay alive together.
Yeah, work together.
Yeah. And is it Haiti or is it
Haiti? Yeah, it was another big one.
Yeah. Is that or no? Puerto Rico is the one that was really big that is in the news or
just
was
recently?
In the news. Yeah.
Yeah, Puerto Rico.
And they just now got electricity back.
How many been months?
Yeah, and they're reporting that too. That everyone, rich, poor, all of them were working together as one a community.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think that's because electricity and technology are gone. Nobody has a phone.
Yeah.
And so it's like
there's no classes.
Yeah, there's no classes. And so I almost guarantee, I don't know, I can't say for sure, but I guarantee people are out hanging out with each other talking.
Oh yeah, you know they are.
They weren't just in their dark house, like, yeah, this sucks. Bleh.
Yeah.
Like they're out hanging out with each other, you know.
You got no choice, dude. You're just gonna sit there to get in jail at that point.
Mm-hmm. And it talks about that in Tribe, where there's almost no recordable instances where somebody left Western society, went to the tribes, lived with them, and then came back.
Came back, yeah, willingly.
Yeah, because it's such a disconnect with each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When you go from Western civilization, like we're talking about, man, everybody's into their phone and whatnot, dude, you're so disconnected. Mm-hmm. And you go to something like that, like we're talking about, man, and everybody's just so tight-knit, I guess.
Yeah, okay. I was just thinking, whenever you go to ask a girl out, there's such an anxiety. You're like, oh no, what if she rejects me? You know, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I can't help but feel like if you're in a tribe like that, it wouldn't be like that. Because you know them, and they know you.
Yeah.
You're like, you don't know this person. You're like, oh man, she's really cute.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to go get coffee sometime? Ew, no, get away from me, perv, you know.
Yeah.
Or she's like, I'm not really into you, you know, no offense, I'm just, or I have a boyfriend, you know. It doesn't have to be like she's a jerk, you know. Maybe she's just really not into you.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, that sucked. But I feel like in a tribe, you'd know that person. Oh, yeah, that's just Jessica. You know, whatever. I'm gonna go. Hey, Jess, you wanna go catch a fish together? She's like, yeah, let's go catch a fish. I don't know, you know. But I could be wrong. But I feel like in a community like that, it's different.
You know.
Mm-hmm. That and there's less. Since it's a community, like everyone knows each other. They have the skills. They have a different skill set. Like if you see a homeschool kid compared to a kid who's grown up in public schools, yeah, they're normal, but there's just a twang of difference.
Social connection.
Yeah.
There's a word for it. I can't think of it right now, but
there's just I don't know what that word is, but it's just a twang of difference. They're nice people, they're normal, but there's just like, you were homeschooled, right? And you're like, yeah, how'd you know? You're like,
you can tell.
There's just that weird wall there.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they had a different skill set being in a tribe compared to us. Whenever you go and ask somebody, because you don't know them.
Yeah.
Or even if you do know them, but you're not that close knit with them anyhow. Like,
don't know them enough.
Yeah, like how close are you with your family? Like not close at all.
Yeah.
Not as close as what you would be with a tribe. You didn't spend 90% of your life being with them, you know?
Yeah.
So even then, there's like different,
Think about
walls
that, man.
there.
Like your own family.
Your own family.
You look back at history like we're talking about here, these tribes.
Yeah.
We're nothing, dude. It's like from you're a little kid, dude. Yeah, you're thrown in your own room. You're separated right off the bat.
Yeah.
You get to be a certain age, you go to school, they go to work. You're all over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And with family, that's kind of your tribe. I knew my uncle very little. I think I met him. I shouldn't say meet, but it was pretty much I met him like 5 times my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he was there when I was a little kid, but I don't remember that. I was so little, I don't remember him. But that's to the point of how well do you know your family?
Yeah.
Like I shared blood with that guy, and I didn't even know him. I knew that he rode Harley and had a wolf tattoo, but I don't really know the guy.
Think about we're so disconnected now, dude. Half my family don't even get along with, dude. They got such polar opposite views. It's just like, dang, I don't want nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be that way. They're your family, and you should be able to, come together. But dang, dude, half of them you don't want nothing to do with.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't help but think that is another part. Like, okay, as a community, you grow together. But now that we have this Western society and we're kind of separated, you kind of grow differently, even with your own family. Like, whenever I was young and I didn't have a cell phone, I kind of grew up with my family, and so I was taking their social cues. The moment I got a cell phone, different.
Yeah, you're totally opposite.
Yeah, and so me and my stepdad kind of had a falling out, and that was probably because I left for 5 years. But we grew different. He grew this way, I grew this way. We were disconnected. I only called him like 3 times in that 5 years.
Yeah.
So that's a bad thing. That shouldn't have been a thing. But whenever I came back, we kind of butted heads because we're so different.
Yeah,
so
two opposite paths.
Yeah. Now it's family.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy how that
is wild.
Mm-hmm. Even with family, you're disconnected with your own family.
Sounds bad when you say that, dude.
Yeah, it is, and I kind of want to get away from that.
Yeah.
That's why I want to put my phone down. But sometimes, I mean, work long hours, you can't go home or go to your parents' house and hang out with them. I've been trying to hang out with my grandparents because grandparents.
Who knows how long
yeah,
you're gonna be there?
Yeah.
Kind of a deal.
But you only have so many hours in a day if you're working long work days. So I can see where social media will come in handy with that, but still at the same time.
And then you get some of these older people that reject it.
Yes.
So you can sit there and text your grandma all day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
That I feel like is, I don't want to say disrespectful, but like if you're just texting her and never seen her, that's kind of disrespectful. Like, I love you enough to text you, but not come and see you face to face.
Yeah.
And I kind of scolded myself because what took me to go see my grandparents was me not having a shower. And it made me sad. It made me real sad. Like, whoa, okay, selfish means made me go see my family.
Yeah.
That's messed up. That's real messed up. So now I'm going to go see them more.
At least you see that, though. Most people don't see that, you know what I mean? And the next thing you know, somebody's gone, somebody that wasn't important to you, you know what I mean, is gone, and it's like, you got regret, dude.
Yeah.
So many people grow up with that regret.
The last lesson I learned from my stepdad was go see them. Go see them. Because he was talking to me about his dad. He hadn't seen his dad in like years and years and years. I think almost 2 decades. Almost over 2 decades, I think. And he just died. He just dropped dead.
Yeah, see?
And he's like...
Now he's somewhere inside of him, he's got regret. He might not say it, but he's got it.
Oh, no, he definitely said it.
Yeah, he's one that says it.
Yeah, he's like, I regret it because he was stubborn. His dad was stubborn and wouldn't want to talk, but force it to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of in the same predicament with my dad. I mean, my dad isn't a jerk or anything. He's kind of like me. It's like, if you come, you come. You go, you go. Like, you want to come hang out? Cool. You know? I'm not gonna go out of my way and hang out with you, and it's total. That needs to go away.
Yeah.
I need to go hang out with him more. But he's like, go see them. They only have so long, and once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah.
You can't ever
It's
see
over.
them.
Yeah, it's done.
And that happened right after my uncle had passed, and he was telling me that, and I was like, oh man, that kind of does suck. Like I didn't even know the guy.
Yeah.
I would have liked to know the guy. My cousin, he was kind of tearing up because those two were close. Well, they were Crawfords, but he was close with them because I guess he forced it. I'm like, well, nothing.
You
here.
just never forced it. Yeah.
There's no emotions here. I mean, yeah, it's sad that a family member died, but it's like I didn't know the
You
guy.
didn't know him, so it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, met him 5 times, I think.
Yeah.
And so, you kind of need to force this situation.
I'm like that when I'm still my family. There's nothing there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My mom and dad, that's about it.
Yeah.
And then I'm the opposite, dude. Show up, dude, walk in like I own the place, man. Get in the fridge, dude.
Yeah.
Bust out some beers, whatever, dude. It's like, this is my house, too. What are you guys talking about?
Yeah. My mom wrote me a letter because when I had a falling out with my stepdad, I had a falling out with my mom. She wrote me an apology letter, and I just kind of like gaffed it off. And it's like, looking at it now, it's like, what are you doing? Like, you literally are not preaching, but you're just said, be angry in the moment and get over it. Like, get the hell over it. What is it? You don't even live with them anymore. Why is that past problem a problem?
An issue now.
Yeah, you don't live with them. Get over it, you immature kid.
We dwell so much on the past.
Yeah, and I'm trying to get away from that.
Yeah.
I feel, and this was thinking within this podcast, so I'm probably going to start hanging out with my mom again.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why was that even a problem? I don't live with them anymore.
See, if people just communicated, you start, you just thought of it now.
Yeah.
Now you're going to start changing yourself.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Because when I read the letter, she was apologizing. Okay, so my family has had a rocky road in the past. I'd been kicked out twice in high school. So it's like, when I was reading the letter, it's like, okay, we've been down this road once or twice, you know. But now it's like, I don't live with them. Why do I care? Because they were trying to control me in their house. And I can see where they're coming from, but it was a little too strict. But now it's like, I don't live with them. They're not going to try and control me. Yeah, what does it matter now? Like, they're going to be gone. Not soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
But they're going to be gone. I'm going to regret it. Why would I hold a 20-year grudge, never see them, and they're going to be gone? I'm like, oh, man, I really regret that.
Yeah.
Could have had a cool 20 years with my parents if I just would have been... If I would have been the grown-up.
Gotta be hard-headed, man.
Yeah. Man, and it's... Hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good advice.
That's a good quote.
Yeah.
For a lot of things.
Yeah, hindsight's 20/20. Yeah, I wonder why I'm depressed. Well, maybe it's because I haven't seen the sun in 4 days. Like, all right, I'll go outside and see the sun, see some people.
Yeah.
You know, well, I haven't talked to my mom in 20 years. That's kind of, you know, now she's
that's
gone.
depressing.
That's 20/20 vision 20 years ago. And get over it. Get over your petty squabbles.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. You're only here for so long. You're only here for, if you're lucky or unlucky, depending on how you look at it, you're only here for 100 years.
Yeah.
If you live that long. You're only
I
here
doubt that's even not even the average, dude.
I think the average is like below 80.
Yeah.
Why? You're not here for very long. Why are you having such a hateful life? Get over it.
There's no reason.
Go get over it. Have fun. Be fun with people. You're like, okay, they wronged you. So what?
Yeah.
You know, let them know, hey, I didn't appreciate that, and then move on with your life.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Don't let it get to you.
yeah.
What's the purpose?
Yeah. So, monologuer over here. Sorry. Me and my girlfriend were at Sonic, and we ordered stuff, and for some reason they were taking forever.
That one right by your house?
Yeah.
Random. I just had an adventure over there 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
Same thing.
It's the craziest thing. But this guy got mad at us. He's like, hey, thanks, guys. Peels out. And I was like, don't let that become an obsession. Because I was like, man, and it didn't. I wasn't angry. But it did become an obsession. I think about it a lot. What happened to that guy to make him that angry?
Yeah, that mad.
Yeah. And, like, where did we fall from society so bad that he couldn't wait 2 minutes for food? Like, I'm doing the
rush,
thing.
dude.
Yeah, I'm doing the thing that the line is for.
Yeah.
I'm ordering food, you're ordering food. Like, what's the problem?
Yeah.
What happened to disconnect where it's like, oh, screw you, you're not my tribe?
Yeah.
Like,
It's so petty.
Yeah.
But we all do it.
Yeah.
We can sit here and make fun of that guy, dude. We've all done that,
Yeah.
dude. And you sit here and think about it and say, ooh, who cares, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
You're a few minutes late, whatever.
Yeah.
That's why I don't speed anymore. He's like, well, I'm going to get there when I get there. Why rush?
Yeah. Well, it's like anything, dude. Go to McDonald's and order a hamburger with no tomatoes and you get tomatoes on it. Yeah, deep down is like, alright, dude, I just paid $10 and you can't get it. But, dude, why are you mad for it? Who cares?
Who
Throw
cares?
the damn freaking tomato off and eat the freaking sandwich, dude.
Who died?
Nobody died, dude.
Yeah, no one died.
It's good, dude. Guess what? You still got your burger.
You got your burger.
Throw the freaking tomato off and eat it.
Yeah. And,
Unless it's a bean burrito at Taco Bell.
Yeah.
They're a little hard to get the onions out.
Yeah. But I kind of grabbed this new saying about fast food. It's like, it doesn't have to be right. It just has to be there.
Be there.
Like, there's 2 burgers, one for me, one for my girlfriend. 2 fries, one for me, one for my girlfriend. Boom. We got dinner.
Good.
Why care?
Yeah.
There's people in Africa that don't even
don't
get
eat.
that much food in a week. Like, why should I care? First world problems. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, I ordered a Big Mac, but I got a chicken sandwich.
We're just being petty is what it is. Look about people, like you said, dude. There's people other places
Yeah.
ain't eating right now, dude.
Yeah.
There's people right here in America, dude. There's
Yeah.
people in this town,
In this town,
Not
it's
eating,
starving.
dude.
Yeah. And,
and we're worried because we got freaking a tomato on our sandwich.
yeah. And one of my favorite podcasters, Duncan Trussell, he's also a comedian, but he talks about just putting good vibes out there. Good vibes into the world. Like, if you're just nicer to people, there's a good chance that you being nice to that one person is going to make their day better. I went to Wendy's once and I ordered a burger, and I ordered a burger for my girlfriend to drive all the way out, like a 15-minute drive back home, and they didn't have a burger for me. And so I blew up. I was like, oh, I can't believe this, blah, 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 blah. I was still living with my mom. And she's like, okay, well, calm down. Call them, be like, hey, where's my, you forgot my burger, and then be polite. Be as polite as you can. And I was like, okay. I didn't decide to be polite until they answered the phone. I was going to yell at them. I was like, you don't know. Like, I'm going to yell at these people. The moment they answered the hello, I was like, yeah, I was just down there, like, I ordered blah, 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 and I didn't get my burger. And like, oh, yeah, just come on down, we'll make you a fresh one, whatever. Sorry about that. And it's like, whoa, that was a cool interaction just by being nice.
Yeah.
Now, if I would have yelled at that person, their night would have either gone the way it was going to go, like, whatever, another customer yelled at me, whatever. Or that could have been the final straw on the camel's back, and they would have gone home and killed themselves. Like, I can't take one more customer yelling at me.
Yeah.
Like, okay, your job isn't that hard, but people make mistakes, and being a little nicer can always be a little nicer, and in that moment, that kind of opened my eyes, and I'm like, whoa, just being a little bit nicer had this positive outcome.
How many people do you think you've affected by not having a positive outcome?
Oh,
not
so
even in a
much.
extremely negative way. You think about that guy you're talking about, man, burns out of there, you idiots, or whatever. Man, dude, you could be someone in there that could have went home and cried. You don't have to be nothing serious, you know what I mean? You could have just crushed somebody's day, dude. You know what I mean? You don't know the circumstances. You don't have a clue what's going on inside there.
Yeah, and another reason why I didn't yell back was because it's like, what is that dude going through?
And
what if his
same
wife?
thing on his deal,
What if his wife just died, and I'm a vent on these strangers because who cares? They're not going to think about it a day later. Joke's on him. I'm obsessed because it's such a weird construct in our society. But I digress. You can't yell at somebody back because you don't know what's going on with their life.
Yeah.
Like him, man, I'm trying. I need to go home. Like my wife is sick and I want to take care of her, or my wife just died and I'm angry and this is how I'm venting and like sorry that you're the recipient of my anger.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's just a giant dick, But
yeah, you don't know that. I'll tell you a story, man. Biggest jackass move on my behalf, right? So driving down the street, man, and I wasn't paying attention at the beginning, dude, but I'm cruising down the street, there's an ambulance in front of me, and this guy cuts me off, dude. It almost causes a massive incident, right? And I had some road rage, man. I am pissed off, and I'm telling this guy, you dumb son of this and that. He's not acknowledging me, dude. And it's pissing me off even more that this guy's not acknowledging me, flipping him off, Yeah. So, jackass move. I tried to freaking hurl a water ball at his car, right? should never do that. But anyways, dude, didn't hit the car, misses, right? And I realized this guy's following that ambulance to the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
Dude.
Oh my god.
Who knows, man? Is that his wife in there? His
Yeah,
daughter?
that's
His mom?
Oh,
dude,
man.
you don't realize, man, how small you feel, dude.
Yeah.
I so wanted to follow that guy to the hospital and be like, dude, man, dude. I'm so, man, I felt so bad, dude.
Yeah.
That was like one of the worst moments, man. You don't realize, say, you do something stupid, and all because you're mad, dude.
Yeah.
And for what, dude?
Mm-hmm. But that's
the guy didn't hit me. I mean, he almost did. He almost caused a big, but damn, dude, for what, dude?
No one.
And then, dude, on top of the fact, who knows what that guy's going through? I didn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There could be freaking dead wife in that ambulance. I didn't know.
But that's a beautiful moment in your life.
Dude,
you have an opportunity to grow.
From that moment on, I was like, all right, dude, I gotta step back out of my little bubble and see the world in a bigger perspective here, dude, because I had no clue what was going on around me.
Yeah, the moment something happens to you, you have multiple options. But you could break it down into two options. You could be nice, be like, hey, whatever. Just because you're being rude doesn't mean I have to be rude. And then you could put good vibes out in the universe. It sounds a little hippy-dippy, but it's kind of true.
Yeah.
Or you can be right back to a dick to them and then put negative vibes, and then you keep on that.
Keep rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like a lot of times like that, it's an emergency.
Yeah. You had no idea, man.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, though, man, when you're in one of them experiences, dude, you realize real quick, wait a minute, dude, what kind of an asshole am I, dude?
And that's such an amazing moment, because it's like, that's community.
For yourself,
That's community. You're like, whoa, I feel sympathy for a complete stranger. I was a jerk.
Yeah.
And now I see what's going on.
Did a 180, dude.
Yeah. And whenever I'm driving around town, there's a huge homeless population, and it drives me crazy. I get physically, mentally exhausted driving around just seeing these homeless people, because it's like, I want to stop and like, hey man, do you need a ride? Like, what can I do to help you?
Yeah.
I do it all the time. I was actually late to my girlfriend's brother's birthday party because I had stopped and helped somebody. Because I couldn't live my life knowing that I didn't help that person.
Yeah.
And this guy was going through a rough time in his life. Didn't know me. And it's one of those things. I'm a vet with a stranger. And what happened was he had just gotten kicked out of his house from his baby mama.
Yeah.
And he was down on the dumps. Like, he was homeless. This guy was leaving because he was homeless. And I was trying to talk to him, be like, man, you gotta make some choices here. Gotta make some good choices to like bring yourself up. Or you can go back in that toxic situation. He lived in Texas apparently. Go back to Texas, get a job.
Get your stuff together.
Get your stuff together. Bring your kids.
Yeah.
Win your kids. Not affection, but win back your kids.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, going back to just driving around, it's like I see these homeless people. It's like I want to help.
Yeah.
I want to help so bad.
Well, you might have saved that guy, dude. You never know, dude. Maybe he was going to do something stupid. You know what I mean? You never know. You might have saved that guy.
Maybe he was going to go off into the woods and kill himself.
Kill himself, anything.
Yeah.
He could have done a number of things. You might have prevented it.
Yeah, and he just needed to vent and hear somebody.
Yeah.
And I didn't get his phone number. He didn't get my phone number. I don't remember the guy's name. I hope he's doing good.
Yeah.
Probably not. Unfortunately.
He probably went back. That's the problem. Yeah.
That's the thing. You can only get out of those situations if you want to.
But for your own, you feel good though.
I feel good because I did everything I could.
Yeah.
Because I even offered him money. I'm like, man, do you need money? He's like, no, let me give you money. Like, no, because he wanted to give me gas money. And I'm like, hey man, I'm here to give you advice. My life isn't the greatest life ever, but it's
ain't nothing compared to yours.
Yeah, I'm not the one who hopped in a complete stranger's car for a ride. I'm not homeless, so it's like I kind of gave him the best advice I could give.
Yeah.
You have two choices.
That's a good way to meet people, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not always going to go good. Obviously, you got people that are going to try to chop you up or whatever.
Yeah.
But dude, you might meet some crazy, interesting people, man.
Then that's another thing. It's like, I want to help them and I want to pull over, but it's like, there's a lot of murders that happen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mentally unhealthy people that want to kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, I carry my pistol with me at all times, but man,
You don't know.
How fast are you going to draw that gun and,
Yeah.
and are you really going to shoot them just because they pull a knife out?
Yeah.
Like, that's not good enough in your car. It kind of looks like you
Yeah,
picked them up to kill them.
Yeah, no joke.
Yeah. So
now you're the freaking killer.
Yeah. But I try and help people as much as I can. And the crazy thing is, before I started working at present day job, I signed up for volunteer around town, and they never emailed me back.
That's so crazy to me, dude.
Yeah.
It's like they need help with certain things, dude, and it's like they don't care, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You got people willing to help with whatever it is, you know what I mean? And they just don't, no big deal.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me, dude. It blows my mind.
I got forced to go volunteer while I was in Washington. It was a day off that I had. And my platoon sergeant said that you're being voluntold to go help with Habitat for Humanity. I'm like, oh, that's bogus, man. This is my day off. I have to go spend it working. This is BS. I get out there and immediately eat my words, man. Eat them. Like, oh, I'm helping people. I'm helping people for free.
Yeah.
I'm putting good things out into the universe. I'm building this dude's house so he can have an affordable home to house his family, to have good memories with his family.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa, that opened my eyes. And the only reason why I didn't continue to do it is because it was an unstable job. And, like, at any time I could be called up and be like, hey, you need to go to work. So that, and I didn't have tools. And I didn't want to be, like, bumming tools, off of people.
So is that something they do around here, where we're at now?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they build homes, but they do have. No, they don't. Not Habitat for Humanity, because I looked into it. It's in Albuquerque, and I tried doing it with the city of Farmington volunteer service, but they didn't even email me back.
We're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, middle of nowhere.
Don't know.
Yeah, middle of a desert. Yeah, but community is such a strong thing that we need to bring back.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, it's like a yin-yang effect. Or, yin-yang? Yeah, yin-yang. So Western society has all these great things with our society. Medical, phone. We have a better computer sitting in our pockets right now than what sent people to the moon.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But then you go east, depending on how far east. Japan is, if as advanced, if not more advanced than we are. Did I say Japanese or Japan? Japan. But in like China, they're not. They're pretty poor in certain locations in China, and they're very spiritual there. And in India, the technology isn't very good in India, but they're very spiritual and they're very happy. You go there, the people are happy.
Well, it's like these indigenous tribes that are still out there.
Yeah.
For the most part, dude, if you look at them, they're some happy people, dude.
Yeah, they're fishing with sticks and stuff. And they're happy. They don't care about iPhone.
No.
For their entire lineage lived in those jungles, those forests, those deserts, depending on what country you're talking about.
Yeah.
They're happy. They're perfectly happy doing what they have, and that's a sense of community. That's literally tribes.
I think Western society sometimes ruins that, man. There's a show, Meat Eaters, and he goes to South America, right? He's a hunter and he goes all over, but South America, and he gets with some tribe down there. I can't remember the fish, but they go hunt this fish, right? It's huge, massive fish. It would be real cool to go hunt, right? Or go fish, right? And that's what they lived off of for years and years and years. Well, now they realize, we can sell these fish to America and other countries. So then oh no, be careful. You're not allowed to eat those fish. We're allowed to sell those fish. So it takes away from their culture.
Yeah.
Now they've just recently discovered they get even more money for people to pay and go fish themselves.
Oh.
So it's like, if me and you were to go, it's like $10,000 a piece to pay these people to take us on a fishing trip, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to get $10,000 for us to catch one fish. It's ruined. Now we're ruining their culture, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because now the local people, you're not allowed to fish.
Yeah.
For that, specific fish or whatever.
And that kind of reminds me of the chocolate thing. There's chocolate farmers with these cocoa plants, cocoa trees. There's a video. I don't know how true the video is, but this reporter brought chocolate to give to the cocoa farmers. They've never had chocolate in their life, or maybe they did. I don't know. If they did have chocolate, they don't have it very often. But they had it for the first time. Like, this is what we're farming? What? They don't make anything. They don't make anything at all off
That's
of this.
crazy.
I mean, they do, but it's like it's nothing. They live in huts.
Yeah.
And then we're over here. I love chocolate. Yeah, and they're, generation after generation a cocoa farmer, and they're lucky if they get chocolate.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with that. It's like how we just use people to get this.
To get certain things.
Yeah, common food item for us.
How does cocoa grow? Is it on a plant? Is it a tree?
I think it's like a giant, like coconut-looking thing.
Really?
Yeah, and I think they like grind it down or something like that.
I'll look that up later.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's kind of weird. You look at it, you're like, I'm not eating that. That looks rotten. I'm not putting that
It's
anywhere.
like peanut trees. You ever seen a peanut tree?
Mm-mm.
Those are crazy looking. There's some giant clusters of peanuts.
Oh, that's weird.
It's like a little. I think maybe they're a little bigger, but anyways, the peanuts are just like a giant cluster. I see one and I was like, what the heck? That's funny looking.
Yeah.
And then I realized if you really look at it,
Mhm.
you can see the little individual peanuts.
That's super
It's
weird.
pretty wild.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff like that.
There is.
Like pineapples. I always thought pineapples grew in trees.
Oh, it's news to me, dude.
You didn't know that?
Something new, dude.
Oh no, they grow like watermelons almost.
Whoa, hold on.
They're on a vine.
A pineapple,
A
dude.
pineapple. They're not in
I
trees.
didn't know that.
They grow out of the ground. Like
Oh, I thought they were hanging like bananas in a tree.
they're like watermelons. They grow on.
That's nuts, dude.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's another crazy
That's
thing
crazy.
that I can't remember.
You know they put stuff in bananas to ripen them up?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's
That's gross.
somewhere I was buying bananas for a long time, and I like green bananas, and these ones would never get yellow. It was weird. It's like they were stay green, and I couldn't figure out like what the hell. I was enjoying it, but nobody else around me was,
Yeah.
And I kept to look. I was like, what the heck's with these guys' bananas? Well, every time I buy it at the store, come to find out they weren't. They were getting them from like a natural. They weren't putting stuff on them.
Oh.
I don't know what they put on there. So like the ones you get at any other random grocery store, they got something put on them so that way they turn yellow, right? They get that more of a sweet taste instead of that dry bitterness.
Another GMO thing when they turn yellow, genetically modified. Oh, I don't know what it's called, but GMOs. It's
something like that.
Yeah, it's like genetically altered or whatever. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I can't remember where it's at. I'll have to find out. And then yeah, dude, I like them that way, so
Yeah.
I was all about it. But it's just weird that you can have bananas sitting there, and it's like they go rotten and they're still green. Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird. Yeah.
It's like bananas in my mind, they turn yellow, then they get spotted, and they turn brown, and they're no good.
Well,
These
they
things
are
will
good.
be green. Well, yeah.
Yeah. That's.
People still eat them like that.
Oh, I love a brown banana.
Really? I
That's
like
the
them when they're
best.
spotted. They're real good.
I
I
like
just
them.
like bananas in general. But
I like them when they turn. Like people think they're rotten.
eat my spoon. I had this friend in school, man, and her grandma was a great grandma actually. And she grew up. The story is she grew up during the Great Depression, and they couldn't get food, so she would eat like black bananas, dude. And it was always weird because she would do it like on purpose, man. She got to be so used to it because they would go get the slop from wherever, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So she would buy bananas, man. You see them in their house. I'm like, God dang. You walk in and smell bananas real strong, right?
Uh-huh.
And she'd see her over there with a spoon.
And
She'd peel it open and lay it open, and she'd get a spoon.
Yeah.
And it was just like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, good. Then you realize, that's man.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't no different, man. People, what they do, like banana bread and stuff, they smash it up.
That's a crazy point in American history, well, world history. A lot of people think the Great Depression was just the United
Centralized
States.
America, yeah.
Oh, it was everywhere. But they did things that would be unspeakable now. Like people were bringing their cows inside and sleeping with their cows just to stay warm and not die in winter. And I heard a story about, I don't know who said it, I think it was a comedian, but he said that his grandparents would cut open their toothpaste and scrape out the toothpaste after it was all done.
Oh, that's crazy.
And so I kind of adopted that. I'm like, well, I don't know why. I guess it's just kind of one of like those fundamental things. I don't want to be wasteful.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You cut open the bottles now?
I don't cut them open, but I
Work it all down.
oh man, it hurts my fingers because I want every last bit. I don't want to be wasteful.
I feel like people nowadays are so freaking wasteful, dude. You get down like a little bit or whatever. I noticed the random with the toilet paper roll, man. I was taking out the trash the other day, dude, and there's 2 or 3 little rolls, and they still had stuff on them. And I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Because it got to the end, dude, and it's like, man, throw that in the trash, dude.
Yeah.
Could be anything, though. Toothpaste.
Yeah.
People are so wasteful.
Oh, chicken wings bothers me. And that's kind of a joke. You're like, oh, you could tell what kind of people eat these kind of chicken wings. There's a bunch of meat at the end. Not me, man.
Suck clean.
Ooh, done. It bothers me when I see that because it's like, one, I'm not a hippie, but it's like an animal did die for you to eat that. Like a life did get, a life was ended for that. So respect the life. Two, there's people in the United States, in your city starving. And you're throwing food away. I don't remember what percentage it was, but I think it's like between 30 and 40% of the food yearly for Americans we throw out. That's an insane number.
That is insane. It's funny, man, because we just live in this apartment complex, and I always see this guy out there, dude. You know, always be digging through the trash, right? You know, he's homeless, whatever, and he pulls stuff out. So I made it a point, dude, that I would go. It's crazy, man, because you go and take Tupperware with whatever leftovers I had, you know what I mean? You know, I'd be there about the same time, about 8 o'clock in the morning. So before I go to work, man, if I had anything I was going to toss, I'd heat it up. So the microwave heat it up and sit it out there, right? Mm-hmm. And that guy would take it, you know, and he would eat it or whatever. It wasn't like it was bad or rotten, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then that guy would bring the Tupperware back. You go back out there at night, and that Tupperware was sitting there. A lot of times I threw it away, you know, because it was stuff started sinking and whatnot. But
yeah. That reminds me, I don't know what, it was a long time ago, relatively long time ago. It was before I started working, present job. Me and my girlfriend went to Panda Express. Yeah. And this homeless guy, looked homeless, came in and, you know, was like, can I borrow your phone, whatever. He's talking on the phone. I'm like, I feel bad for this guy. Maybe I should give him a couple bucks, whatever. And as soon as he leaves, some woman walks by and she's like, don't feel bad for him. He's a panhandler. And I'm like, what are you? Who cares? Like, that's so wrong in a community that they excommunicate somebody for begging for money.
yeah.
Like, you have to be in a bad spot. Like, I hear stories about rich people doing it, begging for money. But you have to be in a bad spot to beg for money. Even if you're not homeless and you're still begging for money, like, you have to be in a bad spot. You know?
Yeah, what's going through your mind?
Yeah. And something that my Nammy told me, and she was like, even if they're not homeless, you know, they might be in a bad spot. They need some help, you know? But you should always give money to somebody because, you know, who knows how bad of a spot they are.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah. I can't remember what her verbiage was, but it was beautiful. It was kind of along those lines, like, always help.
Yeah.
Like, if you have the money, you should help. Oh, okay. One of my favorite sayings of all time is, as a human being, if you have the means to help somebody, you have an obligation to help that person.
I've heard that before.
I love that. Ooh, that resonates so deep in me. And that's why it bugs me whenever I can't help somebody because of my fear of being executed by some homeless person who is homeless because they're mentally unhealthy. You know, and it bugs me. But I want to help people. Too bad that Farmington didn't email me back.
Yeah, so you could
jerks. Yeah. But I love that saying. And I got it from a movie. What movie was that?
Oh, that's probably why I heard the saying from you.
Yeah, I say it all the time. I say it all the time. What movie was that? I don't know. I think it was about a farm, like a family, like a dad bought a farm and he like raised his family on the farm, but they're not farmers. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't that.
Super generic.
Yeah.
It's a movie about a farm, guys.
Yeah. Coming this fall.
Movie about a farm.
Yeah. Dad buys farm. Well,
you know, it's our first podcast, and I feel like you've been jawing up over there, and I've just been kind of hanging out.
I know. I've been bad monologue. I'm super excited. First podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely have to write some notes for
next one. Get some future references here.
Yeah.
We're real bad about going back on topics too, man.
Yeah.
We'll be touching the same topic 12 times, man.
But they're good topics.
They are good topics.
This has been an awesome podcast.
It has been pretty good.
It's a pretty interesting one.
It's crazy how you start getting in conversation, time flies too. We were talking about people talking. Dang, dude, just go talk, dude.
Yeah.
You don't realize what we started out as one thing, and now we're on a totally different page, dude. You don't know, man. Go talk to a stranger. Simple.
It's just like that, the Texas restaurant. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm talking about, but, you know, have a
I used to be
conversation.
real bad about that, man. I didn't want to talk to nobody. It was, now I'm getting I've gotten way better. You know, you go to the store, whatever. Hi, how you doing? And then that turns into something bigger. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, good. How you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, not too bad, man. She had some, some bananas or whatever. You know.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, you're in a random conversation with some random dude that you have no idea who he is. You know.
Yeah.
And who knows, man? Not only did I feel better, I just talked to some random guy I don't know. You know. But who knows what that did for them or anything.
Putting those positive vibes out there.
Yeah.
Because then, oh man, I just met the nicest guy at Walmart talking about some bananas, and now, oh hey, you know, how's your day going to another random stranger? And and it goes on, or it stops. Maybe somebody's a jerk.
Maybe it ends, yeah.
Why be a pessimist when you can be a half glass full?
You're all
saying
a glass half full.
Yeah. Be that guy. Be nice. Be happy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, man, how long have we been talking?
I don't know. We've been going at it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going on 2 hours. We gotta be.
Oh, whoa.
We're close to 6, right?
Is it?
Well, I got it. No, it's almost 8 now, but we started about 6, right? Because I got on the phone.
Dang.
I was on the phone right before we started.
Yeah. Well, we might have
That's
to
crazy.
call it a.
Late nights around here, dude.
Yeah. Might have to call it.
Guess we'll wrap this guy up.
Yeah. Man. First one down.
It's real.
Oh, this is awesome.
People don't understand how excited we are, dude.
Oh, this is a long time
This
coming.
is, dude, yeah.
Long time coming. Well,
Till next time.
till next time.